Next, we officially charge George Soros for his part being the mastermind behind the attacks. Count 1. We officially charge George Soros of being the grand mastermind behind one of America's worst atrocities. Your honors must note that he planned, staged, and executed every part of the cover-up as it pertains to Uranium-1 and the 9/11 incident. We charge he violated 18 U.S.C. 2381 15 times. It was Soros who set up new trading platforms for George Bush Sr., Edgar Bronfman Sr., and the Saudis to work with Peter Monk, who was financing the core axes of these attacks. Soros publicly and proudly committed capital treason on record, an offense that carries the highest afforded death penalty sanctions. His passport is now seized. We order that George Soros be executed twice by firing squad before a live television audience. Military can decide the best methods, so it is never forgotten. Next, we officially charge George H.W. Bush Weenie for his part in orchestrating 9/11. Count 1. We charge George H.W. Bush violated 18 U.S.C. 2381 8 times. He officially played a role as orchestrator with Edgar Bronfman Sr. and Bandar bin Sultan, carrying out acts he knew were sedition. He openly traded with Peter Monk and Bandar bin Sultan on many platforms, leading to the day of the attacks. He orchestrated the exact timing of the attacks by getting everyone out of the WTC before any explosions began. He openly planned the setup and location of the attacks, dragging his ignorant son along for the ride. Most significantly, with the aid of Barrick Gold, he covered up all the financial trades to enable 9/11. His passport is now seized. We order offender George W. Bush be executed by firing squad under the laws of war. Military will explore each option. Next, we officially charge Bandar bin Sultan for his part in orchestrating 9/11. Count 1. We charge Bandar bin Sultan has broken 18 U.S.C. 2381 8 separate times with his act of treason regarding 9/11. He played a critical role with Edgar Bronfman Sr., Kevin Spacey, and George H.W. Bush in regards to covering for Uranium-1 and the SEC trades leading to the attacks. He openly planned the setup and location of 9/11 with the aid of Barrick Gold, which also enabled him to steal trillions. He bragged after about how the entire SEC was in his back pocket. He brazenly secured trades with Peter Monk, who was a heavy investor in the Sultan. We order for offender Bandar bin Sultan to be seized and executed by firing squad under laws of war. This will be the final time the Saudi card plays us. Military are tasked to explore options. Next, we officially charge John Kerry with the part he played in 9/11. Count 1. We charge that John Kerry has violated 18 U.S.C. 2381 10 times, just like Edgar Bronfman Sr. Kerry helped facilitate the illegal trades for Bandar, Bronfman, Bush, and Monk. These trades allowed the 9/11 Black Op attacks to carry out effortlessly without a hitch. Like all of his fellow liberal conspirators, Kerry was aware he was committing capital treason. He was threatened to never say a word. Thereby, we order a sentence of up to 35 years in Guantanamo Bay or lethal injection. Military is ordered under Article 50 to explore penalties. Next, we officially charge Paul Wolfowitz for his part played in the 9/11 attacks. Count 1. We officially charge Paul Wolfowitz with breaking 18 U.S.C. 2381 9 times with respect to the 9/11 Black Op. Wolfowitz was present at all the meetings with Cheney, Bush, John Brennan, and Soros. He knew the exact time and date for the attacks and wanted them. We thus order his passport seized. The penalty is 40 years in Guantanamo or instant death by firing squad under laws of war. Military decides. Next, we officially charge Richard Pearl for his part played in the 9/11 attacks. Count 1. We officially charge Richard Pearl with breaking 18 U.S.C. 2381 8 times on record. He met with Bandar bin Sultan many times, yet was unaware they would each be committing treason. Thus, we now seize his passport. The penalty is 50 years in Guantanamo Bay. Military decides. Next, we charge John Brennan for his role played in the 9/11 attacks. Count 1. We officially charge John Brennan for breaking 18 U.S.C. 2381 for his role in the most heinous attacks in 50 years, along with his liberal co-conspirators. Brennan had a more minor role as the leader of strategy sessions leading up to 9/11. Thus, we charge him as an accessory to capital murder. His passport is now seized. The penalty is 35 years in Guantanamo Bay. Military can't choose execution only if directed. Next, we charge Robert Mueller for his role played in the 9/11 attacks. Count 1. We now have little choice but to charge Robert Mueller for breaking 18 U.S.C. 2381 in his role of covering up 9/11. He was threatened with death if he ever revealed anything. Thus, we now seize his passport. The penalty is 6 years in a supermax prison and 15 years probation to ensure Mueller never repeats an offense. Military, by decree, will explore options. Next, we charge Condoleezza Rice for her minor role played in the 9/11 attacks. Count 1. We officially charge Condoleezza Rice with breaking 18 U.S.C. 2381 once in respect to her minor role concerning the 9/11 Black Op attacks on America. Her passport will now be seized. We assert she has already paid a heavy price for involvement. The penalty will thus be up to 10 years in a supermax prison with a 5-year minimum sentence. This is followed by 15 years of mandatory probation, since we are certain the accused played a very small part and will not repeat offenses. Next, we charge Kevin Spacey for his supervisory role in orchestrating the 9/11 attacks. Count 1. We see no issue with charging Kevin Spacey yet again, this time for breaking 18 U.S.C. 2381 as chief supervisor over much logistics of 9/11. Spacey traded a massive amount of stock with Peter Monk and trading platforms owned by Soros. Looking at his film, The Usual Suspects, it is likewise very clear he felt it would make a perfect jab to make it appear that Israel was the sole instigator of 9/11. Of course, we now know otherwise, as the House of Saud is exposed for its crimes worldwide. His passport is now seized. The penalty for such serious treason is up to 30 years in Guantanamo Bay, or official public execution by a full firing squad. The military will explore which option works best. Next, we charge Zbigniew Brzezinski for his part in orchestrating 9/11. Count 1. Even though Brzezinski is deceased, he violated 18 U.S.C. 2381. We now charge Brzezinski openly plotted and hatched the 9/11 attacks directly beside David Rockefeller and George Soros. For many years, he worked in secret, plotting the trading platforms that would enable the worst atrocities in 50 years to take place. Brzezinski knows what he did was the commission of capital treason. Thus, we order the military to execute Brzezinski by public firing squad using a suitable stand-in for this treasonous mastermind. Military are free to shoot up to a test dummy. Next, we charge John Ashcroft for his part in orchestrating the 9/11 cover-up. Count 1. Even though Ashcroft is deceased, he violated 18 U.S.C. 2381. We now charge John Ashcroft with capital treason. He deliberately closed 6 FBI and federal investigations into 9/11 while alive. He likewise hid the alleged money trail for the 9/11 co-conspirators. As such, we order the penalty of public hanging be enacted. A public stand-in for Ashcroft will be created and hung by the neck until dead. Strange. Military is to explore options.